Thieves will steal our cars, our valuables, just about anything they can get their hands on.
To cut down on crime and antisocial behaviour, the police are now using new tactics where the bad guys actually get caught in the act.
They're launching covert operations.
Keep pretending you're talking on the phone for a bit longer, OK, mate?
And setting clever traps.
The laptop he's about to steal is equipped with a tracking device
that deliver unsuspecting crooks
go
right into their hands.
And there are also ways that we, the public and local businesses, can fight back with some tricks of our own.
I'm not going to sit back and let them do this.
We've caught you and we're sending you down.
So, anyone who's up to no good had better think twice. They might just get caught red-handed. Coming up today on Caught Red-Handed. Cable theft. Expensive, annoying, even dangerous. Police roll out a bait cable drum loaded with a camera and a tracking device to catch thieves in the act. Also coming up, it looks like a professional rally race, but it's actually illegal drivers on a public road in Birmingham.
I knew if we didn't do something that there would be some serious harm or a fatality.
Also today, the thieves that would even steal a mobility scooter.
How can someone be so sick and knowing that it's for a disabled person and taking it?
For a number of years, metal theft has been a national problem. And for the last few years, criminals have been going copper crazy, specifically the copper found in cables. British Telecom provide a large proportion of the cable for communications in the UK. Simon Davis is their security manager.
The price of copper has increased multiple times over the past 2 or 3 years, so thousands of tonnes of copper are stolen every year from our network.
Thefts like the ones you're seeing now cost BT millions of pounds to replace, but the disruption to communications affects everybody.
Businesses are unable to trade, they're unable to take orders, vulnerable people in their homes are unable to make telephone calls that they might need. It has a huge effect on communities.
So cable theft costs time and money, and it could even cost you your life. Filmed from the cab of a fire engine, what happens next is a direct result of cable theft. Another fire engine's camera captures the explosion, and then a second house also blows up. Incredibly, nobody was hurt as the houses had been evacuated after residents reported a smell of burning. It was just pure chance that no firefighters were inside at the time. This happened because thieves had earlier stolen copper from the overhead power lines, leaving a stray live wire dangling down onto the ground. High voltage electricity found its way to the gas pipes feeding the houses, superheating them to such a degree that they exploded. So, while thieves want to get their hands on copper, the coppers are really keen to get their hands on the thieves. In West Sussex, PC Chris Dicker is using a new method to help stop this dangerous and reckless crime.
One of the ways we're trying to combat this is with this bait cable drum.
Somewhere on this drum, police don't want it shown where, there's a spy camera and a satellite tracking device.
So as soon as this gets lifted, it will send a text to my phone and we'll be able to track it.
These cable crooks even put their own lives on the line.
People take such risks to steal it, like hammering through generators and stuff like that.
It's in everybody's interest to deter this kind of crime by catching people in the act. And Chris thinks he knows the perfect place to drum up trade.
There's a new housing development in the process of being completed at the moment. They've had a lot of reports of sus vehicles and that turning up looking for scrap. So what I've decided to do is just out of that area at this substation behind us is to leave the BT cable drum there, as if it's like one of the BT's own employees have just left it there.
These shots are from the tiny camera hidden on the drum.
If I leave it this way, hopefully we'll get a picture of a vehicle or them walking up to it from the camera, so I think this is probably the best position to put it in.
Cable drum dropped. Now it's a wait to see if anybody takes the bait in the next 24 hours. Next morning, he comes in to find it's had an eventful night.
Since you left us, we've had our cable drum that we put out yesterday stolen.
The bait cable drum was left yesterday lunchtime, and coming up to tea time, barely 4 hours later, the camera inside captures a passing motorist taking more than a passing interest.
5:39 hours, we'll have a vehicle pull up from the left-hand side. You then see the gentleman, he's obviously noticed the bait drum. He's got out, approached it, and then see he's probably inspecting it and having a look, see whether it's going to be worth anything to him or not. He's then called a second person over. He's got out the car, and in a moment you'll see them wheel it off.
In broad daylight, the pair brazenly roll the drum towards their car. But they don't know the camera's also rolling, catching the registration number of the car in the process. But Chris doesn't just have pictures. His fellow officers followed the tracking signal and caught the thief red-handed.
That was recovered at an address in Howsham, whereby it was found in the occupant's car. He's been interviewed and admitted taking it from the side of the road.
A successful result. The driver was given an official caution, with the warning that if he's caught doing anything like this again, he'll face a heavier sentence. Chris and the team know the more people they can trap with their bait drum, the less likely people are to steal cable in the area.
This person's going to talk to his mate, who's going to talk to his mate, who's going to talk to his friend. So it's a question of spreading that climate of fear that, you know, if they see something lying at the side of the road, is it baited or not? At the end of the day, if it's not yours, you shouldn't be taking it.
There are many reasons why people steal, but sometimes it's just an overwhelming desire to have an unaffordable luxury that proves too tempting to resist. Musician Kelvin Ho runs this guitar shop. He's used to people occasionally murdering Stairway to Heaven, but after 3 expensive guitars were stolen from his shop, he decided this was a musical crime too far and invested heavily in a decent CCTV system. It soon proved a wise investment. This young man walks in one afternoon, guitar case over shoulder, seemingly just to browse around. Up on the wall, a classic Gretsch worth around £2,500 has caught his attention. At that price, it's out of the reach of most people, but not for this young man. After grabbing the Gretsch, he opens up his guitar case to reveal it's actually empty. This is not the case for long, as he conceals the guitar inside. Yet he doesn't fret about what he's done and calmly looks around the store for a few minutes before walking out. When Kelvin later discovered the guitar was missing, he filed a police report and put the footage up on the internet to expose the thief publicly. It proved instrumental. The next day, the young man was marched in by his extremely upset mother to return the guitar. The mother begged for mercy, saying he hadn't stolen anything before. Feeling sorry for her, Kelvin decided not to press charges.
Hopefully that young man will change his tune in the future. Now, still to come on today's Caught Red-Handed.
A covert operation to stop a dangerous crime, illegal street racing.
You see that pedestrians here move out of the way, and God forbid if that vehicle would have crashed into the side.
And another shoplifter caught on camera. This one's not after a guitar, but a luxury blanket. And you wouldn't believe the lengths he goes to get it.
With CCTV cameras everywhere, some people are saying that we are living in a surveillance society. But as far as the police are concerned, the more eyes looking out for the bad guys, the better.
Police welcome CCTV footage from members of the public. It helps solve crime more quickly. For example, when offenders are in police custody and they're presented with CCTV evidence, they're far more likely to plead guilty. And of course, having CCTV outside your house acts as a real deterrent.
In our next story, a man rigs up a CCTV camera system to protect his house and ends up helping out the neighbourhood too. A few years ago, 38-year-old father of 5, Tariq, was diagnosed with severe pulmonary hypertension, a disease affecting the heart and lungs.
I'm very limited in my mobility. Sometimes when I'm trying to do normal things around the house or trying to do the shopping, it causes me severe breathlessness where I get chest pains and, you know, I start bringing up blood because I've exerted myself so much.
If his condition gets worse, he could face an organ transplant. In the meantime, a recent spate of crime in the neighbourhood convinced him to rig up a 4-camera surveillance system around the outside of his house.
I had CCTV installed mainly for my own safety and my children's safety. I felt a bit insecure, especially being disabled.
What Tariq didn't know was just how much crime his cameras would catch. Just gone 3 AM, a shadowy figure approaches Tariq's Ford Galaxy on the drive and starts fiddling around behind it. He later goes to the back of 2 further cars in the street. His intention? Arson. The back of Tariq's car has caught fire. Fortunately, another resident sees this and runs up to hammer on his door.
I opened the door to him and I said, come on in. You know, I went into the kitchen, got some pots and I chucked one at him. I got one, I filled it up with water and he started filling up and ran out and we started chucking it all over the car.
Tariq and his neighbour fought the flames until the fire brigade arrived, but the car was gutted.
I felt absolutely devastated. I was absolutely devastated that my car has been destroyed. The Galaxy 7-seater meant a lot to me. Having a lot of kids and doing a lot of running around with family, with all the stuff as well in the car, it meant a lot to me. That was my pride and joy.
5 cars in total had been ignited that night. Though at least Tariq, with the police in tow, could check his camera's footage to identify the perpetrator.
I was going through it and I recognised the guy, more or less, who put my car on fire. I said, that looks like such and such person. Eventually, with the information that they got from me, they managed to make an arrest.
22-year-old Niall Key was caught and sentenced to 5 years in prison. A result, yes, but incredibly, those cameras were going to come in useful again very soon. Because sadly, that wasn't the end of Tariq's bad luck. Just days after suffering at the hands of one criminal, Tariq was to become the victim of another callous crime. Now with no car and a wait for the insurance money to come through, Tariq was left with only one way of getting about, his mobility scooter.
I bought a mobility scooter a couple of years ago. When the car got burnt out, I thought, well, what I could do is I could jump back onto the mobility scooter.
The mobility scooter needed a new fuse, so Tariq went to buy a replacement. With his return came an unpleasant surprise.
I thought, where's the scooter gone? To my shock and horror, the scooter wasn't there. So I started shouting to the kids. I said, Suleiman, where's the scooter? Sarah, where's the scooter? And all I heard was, I don't know, Dad, I don't know. I said, you messing about with me? I said, no, we're not messing about, Dad.
So, another trip upstairs to look at the CCTV tapes, and another depressing sight. Just down from Tarek's drive, this scrap van has pulled up. The mobility scooter parked by the door has caught the driver's eye. He sends his mate over to have a closer look.
So he tried the door, and obviously there was no response because no one was in. So he thought, field day, I can have the scooter for nothing.
The driver leaps out as well to lend a hand. In broad daylight, the pair heave the scooter across the road and then struggle with the weight as they try to hoist it up onto the fully stocked van. Seeing as it's giving the two able-bodied men such a hard time to do this, you'd think they might spare a thought for the less physically abled person they're nicking it from. Nope, they just drive off.
I feel that's very, very cheeky. How can people, you know, knowing that a mobility scooter is for someone who is disabled, come on your drive and just take it? That scooter brand new is worth £2,000. To me, I can't comprehend how can someone be so sick and knowing that it's for a disabled person and taking it.
Police are hunting the thieves who are still at large. A few months on, and insurance paid out, Tarek has been able to replace his car and scooter. But as he previously had both taken from him in the space of 4 weeks, you wouldn't have blamed him for wanting a change of scene.
It just made me feel like I just wanted to sell the house and move on. But and on another way, I kind of feel like, why should I run away? Why should I run scared? Why should I give the children that impression that I'm here? You know, it's better to walk away, or it's better to run away, and we should fear criminals, you know. So I thought, no, I'm not running away from no one.
Instead, Tarek is using his CCTV system to help clean up the neighbourhood generally.
I'm so happy that I've got it, and I wouldn't never change it. In fact, I've had a lot of people approach me, and they've always asked me to, can you look back on such and such day for me, because this happened to me. So I was more than happy to oblige them to have a look. I felt very happy about it.
Most thieves try to act quickly, to get away as soon as possible. But not our next thief, a contender perhaps for the most drawn-out theft award. In Ohio, the couple who owned this store went back through this CCTV footage after noticing that a blanket like this had been stolen the day before. And this is what they saw. The blanket that went missing is here. Watch this man with the baseball cap and beard closely. He quickly grabs the rolled up blanket and puts it down on the floor out of prominent view. He then makes a great show of not looking at the blanket, checking his watch and talking to another customer. As the shop fills up, he gets spooked and walks to another part of the store. But just over a minute later, he's back and moves the blanket once more, behind a stand out of camera view. Taking off his jacket, he places it over the blanket on the floor. He then picks up his jacket with the blanket wrapped inside it. But just before he makes for the door, one of the shop owners walks in. Fearing she may be watching him, he then swiftly puts the blanket into a cupboard and pretends to look at something else. But it seems he really wants to steal this blanket, and he spends the next few minutes waiting for the perfect opportunity. Finally, he reaches between two other shoppers engrossed in conversation, wraps blanket in coat once more, and leaves the shop. And that would have been that. But the store owners put this footage up on the internet. Recognising the thief, locals came forward in their droves and provided his name, address and even phone number. Shamed by his crime, the thief quickly returned the blanket, leaving it on the shop doorstep. That's all stitched up then. Now, to a different type of crime altogether, and one that's potentially life-threatening.
Between June 2011 and July 2012, there were nearly 25,000 people killed or seriously injured on our roads. And a quarter of these were caused by dangerous driving, reckless driving and speeding offences. Cameras have vastly reduced the number of collisions on our roads, and we've seen a 35% reduction at camera sites nationally.
But some people make a sport out of dangerous driving. The screeching, squealing world of illegal underground street racing. At night, dozens of cars and bikes tear around the roads we use every day, while hundreds of spectators cheer them on. The driving, often reckless. Accidents, frequent. The problem was so bad in Birmingham in particular that, worried about the potential loss of life, police launched a covert operation to crack down on it.